Hi, friends. Yo soy host Eric. Today I want to tell you something important. So, if you know me, you know that people often come up to me and say, Eric, what's the most important thing? Usually I say, oh, I can't just come right out and tell you that. You gotta study for years to learn that. But today I decided, you know what? I'm going to give you a shortcut. I'm just going to tell you what the most important thing is. Within the first 10 minutes of this video, I'm going to tell you what the most important thing is. First, let me pull this poll. A little coffee. Now, I just finished a premiere a second ago. There was about 60 types of dogs. It took some time to make that video easy to make once we got the recording part. So originally I just did 2 takes of the whole thing. But I had it set up so, I push the button in OBS and the next slide comes up, which is kind of a cool way to make videos. It makes the recording process a lot easier. Hi, Ron Allen Salon. How you doing? You're not first today. Boba Fett is. But, he had to give me a rim job earlier, so probably wasn't really worth it for him. I would guess. Had to toss my salad, as they say. What a ridiculous term. Why anybody would ever want to toss a salad in that fashion, I do not know. Certainly, I'm not of that persuasion or inclination, I guess you could say. Regardless, what is the most important thing of all? That's right. Before this timer on this live stream hits 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the answer to that important question. The question's important, but it's not the most important thing of all. The answer is the most important thing of all. Yeah. So if you love both answers and importance, you're in the right place, because we're going to address these pressing questions shortly. So regarding the cigarettes, it turned out I did have a pack in the car. A full unopened pack. So I don't need to go get cigarettes. As you see, I've only had one of them so far. When we discuss the matter of importance, what are we really saying to ourselves? We're saying to ourselves, me, what's important to me? Why do I like things? And what are the things that I like? And for FI polar people like me, that could be a challenging question. Pack a day. Yeah, I smoke just almost exactly a pack a day. Sometimes when I'm super sprung and it's like staying up all night, maybe I'll go through as much as 2 packs in a day. But then there's an equivalent sleepy week day where you have a pack over the course of 2 days, so I don't like it when I smoke more than a pack a day in general, because it starts to mess with my voice and my breathing a little bit, or I just feel kind of tore up. Yes, Winston's mom, today we're going to be revealing before the 10-minute mark. I will be revealing today. Normally I don't just come right out and say it. Normally I make people work for it, but today I'm just going to spill the beans. I'm going to tell you what the single most important thing of all is before the 10-minute mark on this live stream. So look forward to that. It's coming within the next 4 minutes approximately. And until then, this should hold you over. There. That's pretty important, but not the most important thing. So yeah, that video that I made with Rachel about the dogs was, the recording part was so straightforward, easy. It makes my throat scratchy, and it makes my my body needs to have a night's sleep to clear out the gunk from my lungs. If I don't get that, it starts to kind of accumulate. Definitely it affects my singing voice sometimes if lack of sleep does. And I think that's somewhat because of the smoking. Well, the thing about TE, Winston's mom in general, is there's no way to avoid the work part. It's just a matter of where you put it, It's like I could have approached this a number of different ways. So I could have approached it by starting with a document and having all the words written out first. I didn't do it that way this time. I started out with the pictures of the dogs. And I Googled in Google Images for 16 line drawings of 16 different people, basically. I couldn't find people that was in Creative Commons license. So I found those little dogs instead. And there was, I think, 18 on the page. I needed 16. So, and it just so happened that 4 of them were sitting, 4 of them were standing, 3 of them were leaping, and 3 of them were half dogs. I had to make an extra leaping one. I had to make one that was standing leaping. I had to turn him into leaping, and I had to turn one full dog into a half dog. But other than that, it just sort of worked out perfectly. I had 4 stands, four sits, 4 jumps, 4 halves, and it just seemed to suggest the course of action. I think that's maybe if I was going to say to one person to a random person, if you know nothing at all about cognitive functions, here's the one takeaway you should take away from it. People are fundamentally either deliberative, active, interfacey, or knowing. Yeah. The only gift that I really want from the 12 Days of Christmas is the 5 golden rings. Maybe the maids of milking. Depends what they're milking. If they're milking my prostate, maybe. Isn't that weird that you don't really want any of the gifts? In fact, most of the gifts in the 12 days of Christmas are not even things you can give away. They're like people and stuff. Are these socionics concepts or my own? Neither. It's I mean, I guess you'd say it's my concept, but it's it's not my concept. It's my realization. Like, oh, I see. These are 4 different kinds of functions. It's not like I created it. It's just I realized it. People tend to talk about judging and perceiving functions, but action functions and knowledge functions are very different from each other. Oh, yeah. Well, the idea of breaking them into groups based on the metaphysicality and physicality of the first 2 functions, that's my taxonomy. And I call them meta-analysts, those that are 2 communication functions. Analysts, those have communication first, then non-communication. Executives, those that have non-communication first, then communication. And executors, those who have non-communication both. So those are my terms. I guess you could say that the key contribution I made to cognitive functions is to recognize that people pay attention on 4 fields, and that there are 2 varieties of functions: those that are designed to facilitate our communicative selves, and those that are designed to express our experiential selves. Hi, Joe. I am here. But note, I mean, the thing is, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm just making some observations about things that are so. That we have 4 fields that we pay attention on is so. It's observationally so. I've claimed this claim millions of times now, it seems like. I've never had anybody dispute it. And I've never had anybody suggest that there's another field that I haven't accounted for, or that one of the fields that I have accounted for is, in fact, not distinct from another field. So the fact that you can pay attention to your body, to stuff out in the world, inside your own head, your thoughts and feelings, or thoughts mostly, or to words out there, is indisputable and is a critical precondition to understanding cognitive functions. If you don't understand what paying attention is, then you can't possibly understand cognitive functions. Wait, hold on a second, Elijah. Are you saying that my live streaming helps you get work done? That seems odd. Everybody else tends to say that my live streaming prevents them from getting work done. Which prevents me from getting work done too, obviously. When I'm live streaming, it's like, okay, I've gotten some work done, now I can play. You know, I'm determined to put up a bunch of quote unquote good videos. Like the dog one, or, effort videos, on topic, hopefully paced for maximum audience retention, and trying to be successful, quote unquote. So I've been sticking to this plan with the uploaded videos now for a good stretch of time, like a month or something, which is a long time for me. And I'm pleased. I'm seeing the change in the subscribers. So in other words, my subscriber numbers are going up a little bit finally after being plateaued for a long ass time. I am live streaming less, which is a good thing in general. Although, I'm never going to stop live streaming because I need to talk shit out. You need more of the serotonin, huh? I tried taking the other day. For the first time, I tried taking one of Rachel's Prozac pills. It didn't do anything at all, as far as I could tell. I don't think it does anything to me. What axis is the dominant function first likely to run to? 1 to 4. 1 taps 5 for help. 8 comes in and play with fire. Well, the thing is, we tend to think of the axes as being NESI, SENI, TIFE, TEFI. But that's not that's a misleading metaphor. So, in other words, yes, NE and SI are on an axis, but how they relate to each other is entirely contingent on where they fall in the stack. On the other hand, NE and SE are on a continuum, and they relate to each other more predictably. So, in other words, because I'm an NE Dom, it means I have a certain approach towards decision making, follow through, commitment, pulling the trigger, ending discussion, etc. It's mostly, at least consciously, adversarial. In reality, my 8th slot function enables almost everything that is meaningfully me, but it's something that I don't. It's hidden autopilot. I think in general one is not well suited to understand their 8th slot function. Now it could be that's especially so with me because SE is so word defying in general, right? But I've talked to Legends Fall about this before as well, and he indicated that he feels the same way about his 8th slot function, and his 8th slot function is NE. So I think there's something especially unconscious about your 8th. I feel like I have a better understanding even of my 7th than of my 8th from an experiential standpoint anyway. All right, so this is the last of the sendments, which is fine with me. And I'll tell you why it's fine. Because while this is good weed, this sendments, it definitely is cinnamony. It's spicy. It's a little bit coffee. And kind of harsh and kind of like chewing Big Red gum with pepper on it or something. It's got this faintly like lavender taste to it. Just very faint. It tastes like a woman's store smells like that sells like candles and lotions and stuff. Have you ever been in one of those chick stores where it's like an olfactory assault on you because everything smells like meow, meow, meow? How people manage to detect subtleties like that with food is beyond me. Like with wine, it just tastes like burning juice. It's just a bit of an aftertaste. It doesn't. It's a good smoking weed, really. It's the reason it was suggested to us, though, I think, is because it has such an unusual and complex taste that evolves over the course of it. Yeah, I said cough -E. Just like earlier when I was saying porridge, I was saying POUR-AGE, not PORRIDGE. Yeah, 8th slot is role in socionics, I believe. Correct. The thing about one of the problems with socionics in general is role from whose perspective. So generally, socionics likes to position the typologist as somebody who's not subject to typology themselves and is executing this observational kind of affect critique. But the problem is my A slot function my role function because I use it to fulfill my roles in the world? Or yeah, there's just a lot of problems with it. It's not very. The problem with the challenging thing with cognitive functions in general is that you've got multiple approaches towards trying to establish someone's type. And if you don't understand that you're asking different kinds of questions, which you should weight and assess differently in terms of what they mean, then you'll get stuck somewhere along the line. The other thing is you got to distinguish between what kind of shit you're talking about is actually metaphor or correlate or approximate, like Renin dichotomy or something, or which shit is actually a process description. How does TI A plot play out? Privately, usually. So when I have a typing session with an INFP, they don't really give me any feedback. They don't really give me any feedback, and it doesn't mean they're not TI checking it themselves. It just means it's not something they feel any need to share with other people. So in that sense, for them, TI is what happens behind the scenes. It's not something you're going to see a lot of from an INFP. Now, the exception is this. If you play a fun, happy competition game involving deductive reasoning problems, INFPs will kick all kinds of ass at it. As long as there's nothing writing on it that's important at all, in which case they'll think it's the wrong thing to use. But INFPs can have incredibly good TI if they practice it a little bit. They practice deductive reasoning problems or something. My friend Liz, she's an INFP, and first of all, she always won Connect 4. No matter who she plays, she always won. She never lost Connect 4. And I don't think I ever beat her at chess, even though she's not a good chess player, particularly. And I'm not a particularly good chess player either, but she is very competitive. So she'll sit there and think and think and think and think. You know, I get impatient. If I were to Sudoku race her, she'd probably beat me. She's really good at Sudokus, and she likes deductive reasoning problems, as long as they're fun. They found life on Mars? Okay, well, I got one thing to tell you, Etienne. I do not accept microbial. It's got to be a full animal, like this big at least, as big as a loaf of bread. Are there mushrooms on Mars? If Connect 4 is standard for TI, I call you a TI genius. No, Connect 4 is not a standard for TI, but it is a standard for it does have conditionality aspects to it. In other words, when you're playing Connect 4, there's a part of it where you go, well, if I put it there, then they'll go there, and then I'll go there, and then I'll go there, right? That part is TI. But if you're using NITE on the thing, you probably don't use that approach when doing Connect 4. So I don't know how Liz approached it, but just thought it was worth mentioning. Regardless, even if I just give her straight up deductive reasoning problems, she will she'll kill it. You know, right? She probably might miss test by me as a 1 or 2 slot TI. Well, Live Joe, you and Liz would probably tie then, because apparently it's a solved game. Poker, well, don't get me started on poker. I went and played poker 2 nights ago and lost. It was annoying because I wanted to go onto the 40-80 table. There's a line. I get sick of waiting, so I went on the 100-200 table. The buy-in is $200, I like poker a lot. 2 nights ago, it was a frustrating session though. I was just sitting there playing very tight, just basically folding everything because the action of the table was such that basically I never had an opportunity to lead the action by raising, and I never even had an opportunity to limp in. The pots were getting pretty big before the flop, or just everybody folded out. So it was like there weren't any hands where I could see any action on the flop and play it out. Finally, I ended up trying to sort of limp in and or a small raise or something with a pair of nines after I was sitting there for a long time, not really playing any hands. And it got bumped up to like $100 or something. By the time I went around, it's like it raised into me or something. I called. Somebody re-raised. I called. They may have been a 3-bet too or something. And by that point, I'm pot committed, right? Unless the flop is a miss. So then the flop comes out. I got a pair of nines, keep in mind. And it comes out 8, 10, queen. It comes out queen, jack, 10, something. I forget what it was. Or maybe it was queen, 10, 8 or something. I don't remember if it was a gut shot or not. Maybe it was a gut shot, straight shot. But anyway, and then I'm like, okay, well, at this point, pot odds are such that if I hit my straight, I'll win the hand. And I got 2 cards to hit the straight. Potentially also if I hit another 9, I'll win the hand if I get trips 9. Although that wouldn't have if I got a set of 9s. But that wouldn't have won the hand actually, because the winning hand was a set of jacks. But so anyway, basically the action prevented me from playing any poker. I got kind of, but I should never have even called that second bet before the flop. I should have folded. I don't know what I was thinking. Sometimes you get a little frustrated. I didn't shove. I got pot committed because I call one raise, right? I call the re-raise, hoping, okay, that's going to be it. And then maybe there's another bump or something, and I have to call it again. And all of a sudden, I got $100 in the pot already before flop. And when it comes out and I got a straight draw, and I know if I'm going to hit the straight, I'm probably going to win the hand. And I think there's a second way out with a set of 9s. Well, at that point, I got no choice but to call. But my mistake was way earlier in the hand. Once I made that mistake earlier in the hand, then it was going to be, a coin flip with 5 players in the hand or something, 4 of them all in, and it's just like, okay, well, I have very little chance of winning this coin flip because not 50-50. It's not like 2 overcards against my 9s. It's fucking who knows what everybody's got. So yeah, it's I got walked into overcommitting pre-flop. I played the hand badly, basically, which is frustrating because I don't normally play badly. I'm not a bad poker player. I'm not good at keeping my facial expressions and stuff neutral. I was out of position too. So, sometimes when you're sitting there for hours and you get no cards, you just get crap cards, and you finally get a pair of nines, you get a little attached, unfortunately. I did. I mean, the thing is, I wasn't even getting suited connectors. I wasn't getting shit. It was like getting 10-3, 7-2 offsuit every time. It's like, okay, I can't even. And the action pre-flop was it was a busy table, Yeah, I got a little frisky with my nines. But the thing is, I didn't plan to get frisky. I planned to limp in, see a flop, and fold them, But it just, the way the table played, everyone was so aggressive. No mushrooms on Mars? I can tell you this. If we do find mushrooms on Mars, they're guaranteed to be psychedelic. There's no way outer space mushrooms aren't psychedelic. Yeah, it got a little blurry there for a second, Winston's mom. Or did it? Maybe it was just your eyes got blurry. Have you thought about that? Maybe it was your eyes that were the problem. Usually is. Whenever there's a problem in the world, it usually links to Winston's mom's eyes. I can't believe how easy it was to renew my driver's license. I dreaded going there for such a long time. Took less than an hour in and out of that fucking in and out of that thing.
Just rooting here won't do any good. But rooting more and more my style. My secret theory ways of spending really good. Cause I've been stuck here a while. And that's despite an
So I programmed the bass with LMS with actually bass samples instead of my normal playing the guitar and pitching it down. But the nice thing about having done it this way is I have the MIDI map, I guess you call it, on LMS, so I can mess with the bass and change the tone or whatever without having destructive editing. I'm not thrilled with this bass tone, but it's called FM bass too. But it sounds better than my pitch shifted guitar. Of course, it's quantized as well, which is nice. So I think I'm going to end up incorporating some more LMS stuff. I like playing around in LMS, making beats or whatever you want to call it. You can do a lot of stuff with LMS too. It's not just a beat making app. It's got all kinds of whatever. It's got samples and virtual instruments and stuff like that. Yeah. And this is a song I made in LMMS, and then I made a picture, did and typed the other rep, and then I said you know, I like it when beats move along in an efficient fashion. If you've not ever used this app, comes from Wahoo. It's a fun app to use. LMMS. Because, you know, you got all these things you can put there, you know, like all these free sounds that come with it or whatever. Got all kinds of stuff. Organ blues. So, like, I could put organ blues here, and then I could go click it, and it goes to this piano roll thing. I could put what notes I wanted. Like, let's say I want this to be E, an E7. That sounds like an organ. And then I could put that like there. Now, if I wanted to look at the bass, the beat part, right now there's no beat. But it starts with this thing called kicker, which just puts a regular kind of kick there. I could put just kicks down if I wanted. Or I could find a different kick, like this is called kick power. It's got power to it. Put a couple kicks. And then I get a snare of some kind. I like that marching band snare. That's cool. Like this. There, like that. That's pretty good. And then you can put in some hi-hats. It has hi-hats, different hi-hats you could choose from. Like, here's a hi-hat. This is a nice hi-hat. That's a little too loud, so. If you want to have it like more dynamics, you can change the volume of some of the hits. Like some of the hi-hat hits, I'll just turn down a random little amount of. It just sounds more natural, you know, less mechanized. Go with the kick too. That's good. I like that. And then if you put that in the song part, you're the song editor, then you could just push the song. Or you put another one of those organ things right there if I wanted. Like, oh, it didn't play that time. Anyway, this is a fun app. You should try it. It's called LMMS. And it's how you make rock and roll music. It's how you make rock and roll music with your heart. Well, this is how you make rapping songs. You start with a beat, then you rap along. Make it funky, make it break down. Then you can be a rapping clown like me. Like me. This is a beat from 1982. It sounds like I made it out of my shoe. I'm gonna break dance on cardboard boxes, and then I'll go outside and hunt foxes. Hell yeah. Break it down. Let's all rap now. Break it down. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Break it down. Funk it up. All night long. Do that stuff. I am typology guy, I say. I'll tell you what type you are today. Are you an I or an E or an S, an N or a T, an F, I bet. I'll tell you your type. When I ask you questions, you'll answer them, and I will learn necessary things to tell you your type, like whether you like to love or fight, or whether you like to sing or dance, or whether you'd like to join a parade and prance down the street on a horseback too, with a pair of cymbals going wee wee hoo hoo. Ron Allen Salon, what type are you? You're the kind of type who has to go poo. If you check your pants now, I think you might see something brown inside, and it's not pee, it's your poo. Ron Allen Salon, you have pants of poo. Ron Allen Salon. My name's Ron, but not Ronald Ron-Chan Chanson. My name instead is Ronald Run Salon, because I am an Allen as well, and I have a salon. You can go straight to hell. That's how they used to rap in the olden days, you know? Like, my name is Ben. I'm rapping at you. What do you have to say to me, dude? This is how you rap. Everybody knows because it's 1984. Let's rap and roll. Break dance and stroll. Now sing the chorus. Oh, that's funny.
Pretty exciting.
Oh, right. I was going to tell you what the most important thing was. Here it is. I said I was going to say 10 minutes. I forgot completely about it. Nobody reminded me. Here it is. This is the answer to the question. What's the most important thing? Love. Love. Love's the most important thing. It's either love or truth or justice or beauty or fun or drugs. One of those things are the most important thing. Maybe it's a combination of all those things. Maybe it's F ideal and there are no rules. You're still single? Well, I better get on that. I'm not still single, Brown Island Salon, so sorry. I'm unavailable for schlonging.
Yay!
However, if you do truly have a salon, I will patronize you to get a pedicure. I could use one. I wouldn't want to be my pedicurist. These things aren't for the faint of heart. But regardless, Hamza Saeed. Hamza Saeed. Hamza Saeed sounds like an expletive or something, you know, like Jupiter's nutsack, right?
Yeah.
Hamza Saeed.
Hamza Saeed.
Hamza. I wish your last name were entree or dinner or popular dish. I wish your last name were popular dish. Then your name would be Hamza Popular Dish. Or, you know, if your last name were Good Cold Cut or just Cold Cut, Hamza Cold Cut would be good. I mean, I haven't gotten any response from CS just yet. My challenge is real. I would like to box him and make a you know big event of it, so to speak. He's a professional boxer with a record of 40 wins and no losses with 40 knockouts, all in the first round. And I've wagered that I can take out this brute in 3 rounds. Now, some people might say, but Eric, you're too old. You're 50 years old. You can't possibly box somebody and win. Tell that to George Foreman. Tell that to George Foreman. And you'll note that when George Foreman, for the second time in his life, won the world championship, heavyweight championship of the world, at the age of 48 or something like that, he was losing that fight. He was losing that fight all through 8 rounds or something. He was up against, was it Reddick Bowe? Or was it I think it was Reddick Bowe. The thing is, George Foreman has 2 things going for him. One, he's basically like a sack of concrete. You could hit that guy all day, and you're just going to hurt your hands. And number 2, he's got incredible power. He just caught Reddick Bowe one time with 1 punch in like the 8th round, and he was out. So my training regimen for the upcoming boxing match that I hope to get a response regarding from the other participant in the boxing match, C.S. Joseph. I hope that my training will include using the George Foreman grill to make myself less greasy food. That's how I'm going to train. No, I'm actually going to train. If he says yes, I'll do road work every day until the fight. You know, I need to get my wind back somewhat. And no, we mean actual boxing, Elijah. And I have predicted that I will knock him out in the third round. The 3-round fight I'm proposing, very much like the one that were what's the word? Put on. The ones that were staged, but staged sounds like it's fake. But the ones that were put on between Jake Paul and some other YouTuber, and between Logan Paul and some other YouTuber. C.S. Joseph's model says you have FI trickster, just like C.S. Joseph himself, because you're both ENTPs. Well, I mean, if C.S. Joseph's model says something, it definitely can't say that we're both ENTPs. So since C.S. Joseph and I are so different from one another, and so markedly different in our values, if he has an actual system that says these kind of answers mean this kind of, spit out this, then it would have to type us both differently. I find it very, very, very unlikely that C.S. Joseph would be able to put together any kind of test that would test himself as ENTP without completely violating and contradicting everything we know about cognitive functions. Benjamin is I would say he's embraced a lot of nonsense. Anyway, the point is, if C.S. Joseph agrees to box me, with DSP, as I said at the time, I have respect for DSP, because even though he's wrong, he wasn't afraid to have a conversation with me. C.S. Joseph has done nothing but avoid having any kind of conversation with me since the first moment I encountered him on the internet. When asked by other people, why won't you debate Eric or talk to Eric about cognitive functions or something, he says, it wouldn't be worth his time. It would be a waste of his time. Which, whatever, that's fine. That's his answer. But the thing is, that's why I like this idea of proposing a boxing match, because he can't say it wouldn't be worth his time or it would be a waste of his time, because it would probably make a pretty good amount of money if we did a pay-per-view style. We could probably get 10,000 people to buy it. Charge $15 a head or something. I don't know. He's a terrible debater. He attacks people for stuff like smoking weed, like it invalidates their theories because they smoke. Yeah, I know. It's because he's an executor. Executors are particularist in their friends and particularist in their tools. So that's all he knows how to do. He doesn't get the idea that things exist in non-particularist frames as well. I already typed a newborn baby, INTJ. which I find kind of hilarious. You know, pa 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 pa. That's the sound of drums. I just made my mouth. I've been listening to some good new music. You know, I don't know if everybody here is aware of this, but in case you had missed the announcement, I've made this announcement on a few occasions in the past. It is the case that I do have the best taste in music and that I do listen to the coolest stuff. So if you want to be cool, I'd recommend checking out my always evolving. I mean, things make the list, things leave the list. Playlist called Chappy Tracks. Now, if you just start at the top, you'll see, it's like I got it sorted so that the stuff I added most recently is at the top. I wanted to add, if it's not there, Good Girls Don't Get Used. I like this girl, her name's Beach Bunny, and she's got this song, Good Girls Don't Get Used, which is quite a good song. I recommend it. If you want to be Justin Bieber, you got to get with my friends. Eric, can you imagine if you and CS teamed up around a university? I mean, how could we possibly team up? He's wrong about everything. He's not qualified to teach anything. He's qualified to teach a class and how to make money being a complete fraud, which is its own skill, The thing is, I really don't dislike C.S. Joseph or have any anger towards him in my heart or anything like that. It's just, I find it unfortunate that he throws so much mud into waters that are not naturally easy to clarify anyway. So it's like, these aren't still waters that run clear. Here we're talking about this is a complicated thing we're dealing with, which is process analysis on attention. And it's complicated enough that it enables people to do the equivalent of quantum woo. So you take somebody like Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, bullshit Yvonne, NI Nonsense Pants, insert name where whatever name you want, Alan Watts, Carlos Castaneda, any of that shit. They're all doing something called, I will call it, it's kind of like cargo culting. They're cargo culting. So if you're familiar with the idea of a cargo cult, and sometime around World War II, the American military would drop supplies, and some of them would land on these islands where there were savages who'd never seen any civilized people or civilization before, and they built a religion around these useful objects falling from the sky, cargo cult. Now, it's like, from their perspective, they're praying, and sure enough, if they do the right ritual, shit falls from the sky. People who understand recognize that, okay, yes, you prayed and did the ritual, and yes, stuff did fall from the sky, but your whole approach here is totally back-ass words, fucked up, wrong beyond redemption. Yeah, I think Catherine Frost and Ingram test is good. It typed me right as 784. Well, New Groove, I mean, his biggest problem is he's in all the wrong frames. So when he talks about cognitive functions or talks about types anyway, he's most comfortable telling people advice about how they can better be whatever type they are, or how they can master all the cognitive functions so they're not really any type anymore. Other complete garbage like that. The second thing he does is he strongly promotes the use of heuristics instead of actual analysis. So you could try to have some sort of easy to check off criterion for what comprises this interaction style and what it means from cognitive functions. And that might even be a decent heuristic. But in advocating that you use a heuristic, you're also advocating that you forego doing the actual job right. Eric, God is not a genie. He's the Almighty Lord. We serve him. He only answers prayers in line with his own will. Oh. What did I say about prayers? Oh, about the cargo cult. Right. Well, I mean, I don't think, I wasn't saying the cargo cult people were right. I'm not saying they were correct, that their prayers made the stuff fall from the heavens. I'm saying they were wrong, just like C.S. Joseph is wrong. Even if sometimes he does his little ritual and shit falls from the sky. That doesn't make him correct. That proves that he's completely wrong. He's misunderstanding everything entirely because he thinks his little ritual has something to do with the shit falling from the sky. C.S. Joseph says a lot of things and doesn't explain why that is, how it is, or how he concluded that claim. If you press him on the matter and ask him, he will say he learned it from his mentor, or he'll tell you to read the book, which is just stupid. If you're supposed to be an expert, you should be able to answer my questions. Do some ISTPs nitpick facts to their identity, or it might just be a few of them? Nitpick facts to their identity. I'm not sure what that means. You mean like if you say, if I'm like, oh, this is my ISTP friend Joe. He's 23 and 170 pounds. I'm actually 23 in 3 months and 170 and a half pounds. Like that? Is that what you mean? Hamza Saeed, there's absolutely nothing wrong at looking at all the points of view, opposing points of view. It's absolutely necessary. But the thing is, remember, when they conflict, the reason you're looking at all the opposing points of view is so that you can figure out which ones are wrong and should be eliminated and which ones are correct and should be embraced. They are not all equal, right? Not all explanations for things are equal. If I explain that rain comes because God is sad that we haven't sacrificed a lamb to him, I am wrong regarding what makes the rain come. There's nothing I do that makes the rain come.
I have a black lighter.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm playing lighter holder. I'm playing lighter holder of the lighters. I guess today with like 10 lighters in my hands if I had them, probably. I'm not even notice it. I mean, look at opposing positions is, yeah, I mean, it's optimally attained when you have FI in the 7th. So, and especially if you have additionally experience, such like mine, which is debate coach training. As a debate coach, I'm expected to prep my kids out for both sides of every topic. And I will periodically prep them out to make arguments that I don't like and that I don't agree with. Because the point is to get them to win, not to express my political position, right? Now, generally speaking, because my political position is determined by what has the best arguments, then in fact, I end up arguing stuff that I actually affirm, but that's irrelevant. Hamza Saeed says, but there's a lot of truth to his system as well. Okay, so you don't know the meaning of the word truth, because no matter how you define truth, that is one thing you cannot say about a system. You could say he's right periodically, but you couldn't say there's any truth to his system, because it's just like this. I point out that this rock, even though it's smaller, falls at the same speed as this bigger rock when I drop them from a high place. Okay? I point that out, right? Now, C.S. Joseph is explaining that phenomenon by saying something like this. Well, the smaller rock is very motivated because he's got an insecurity complex, and so he's trying harder, and that's why he's able to keep up with the bigger rock when they're falling. Okay, so you say, well, there's a lot of truth to his system. No, his system is fundamentally wrong in the category error kind of way. If he's trying to figure out why the two rocks fall at the same rate of speed by evaluating their motivations, then he's in completely the wrong arena. No matter what he says that might happen to correspond to some true statement, is the textbook example of the blind squirrel getting the occasional nut. And the risk of looking to the blind squirrel who's getting the occasional nut is you might mistakenly believe that you can learn something about nut acquisition from the squirrel. In fact, the squirrel who is blind is the worst person in the world to learn anything about nut acquisition from, because all of his actual nut acquisition accomplishments are random luck. Jeffrey's last name is not Chang. Okay, Boba Fett. Not all Chinese people are named Chang. His last name is Ling Long Ting Tong.
Oh, Larry, you're so
ENTPs must have great potential to be great lawyers. Yeah, I think in general we do. And yet there are very few of us in the legal profession considering that we ought to dominate it. The reason is because the legal profession has increasingly become TE instead of TI. So the longer a given nation's criminal justice system, or just justice system in general, persists, the deeper it gets entrenched in TE. And the reason for that is because precedent gets set. So the parsings become ever more narrow and distinct, such that you end up with these weird interpretations like, well, the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to your car unless meow, or if meow, but not if meow. You know, it's like why are we drawing these crazy little distinctions? You end up with crazy distinctions like in California, supermarkets, but only supermarkets, have been designated public space, their parking lots, for the purposes of petition gathering, selling Girl Scout cookies, all that kind of shit, right? There's absolutely no reason to arbitrarily single out supermarkets and make them relinquish their property rights about their own parking lots. Whereas no other kind of store is subject to this rule. Well, what happened was sometime in the judicially activist, enthusiastic zeal of the 70s, California passed the California Supreme Court ruled a broader, more inclusive ruling on this matter but it's been parsed down to the minimum now over the course of the years, with recent Supreme Court, California Supreme Court judge saying, like being quoted as saying, this was a bad decision when it was made. It's been a bad decision every time we've tried to parse down off of it, and it's still a bad decision. We need to overturn this bullshit decision completely. So it's like, all right, at this point, you're no longer talking about what matters, right? You're talking too much about jumping through a bunch of hoops. And that's what the law has become. That's what being a lawyer has become. They have to make sure these papers are filed at the right time with the right things on them. And, it's like, I love the law, provided it's done properly. Like, here's an example of what's wrong with the law now. When I was living in Laverne and that policeman hit me with the butt of his gun when I was telling the police to stop tasing the guy, I was just standing there, right? I was holding my camera up like this, and they were tasing the fuck out of this guy. So after, I don't know, 10 seconds of it or 20 seconds of it, I was just like, okay, stop tasing him, stop tasing him. There's no reason for this. Why are you doing this? Well, this other cop runs up to me and jabs me with the butt of his, I think it was a beanbag gun because it had a green circle on it, which suggests it's non-lethal, I think. But anyway, he pushed me with the butt of it off of the curb, and I'm like, why did you just assault me? Anyway, so I go to talk to the city of Pomona about this, and I say, okay, well, I don't want you to pay me anything, city of Pomona. You shouldn't pay me anything. You shouldn't be liable for the behavior of individual police officers, unless, the only possible way you could conceivably ought to be liable is if you're contractually obligated to be liable. But even then, only under circumstances where the qualified immunity of police officers doesn't kick in. And my position here, Pomona, is that the qualified immunity of the police officers should not kick in this instance, because it's this extremely narrow, perfect legal bullet that I need to set this precedent. And what is this precedent? Well, it's very difficult to sue a police officer personally for rights violations done to you by the police officer, even though federal law guarantees you that right. The justices in the justice system have afforded themselves, prosecutors, and to a lesser extent cops, immunity, even though there's no such language in the law at all. It's been interpreted to mean what it doesn't say. Regardless, there are examples where you can sue an officer individually, but they have to violate a named protected right in the Bill of Rights, and they have to do so in a way that is non-criminal, but renders them liable, basically. So I had this perfect thing. This guy didn't hurt me at all, but he shut me up. He violated my First Amendment right to free speech in that instance. And he was clearly intending to do that. There was no dispute because everyone was silent watching this happen. And then I said something. I was the first person to say anything. And he runs over and he pushes me off the curb with the butt of his gun, So he's clearly trying to silence me. This was a perfect legal case to set the precedent I wanted to set, which is if a cop violates your right to free expression, they are personally liable, not the city. I explained to Pomona, this is in your interests. I am trying to make it so that cities are less liable for the behavior of individual cops. They shouldn't be. Why are the taxpayers paying for this criminal cop's bad behavior? Why? Right? Mm-hmm. Well, what happened? Nobody cared. City of Pomona says, well, how about if I give you $5,000, you go away? And I needed $5,000 at that moment because I had rent and I was short for rent in Laverne because that place was not super expensive, but it was a house in Laverne, so it cost like $1,800 a month or something. And I was broke, and it was just like the heavens said to me, Oh, well, this will solve all of your current problems, because not only are you a little short on rent, but you need to get your car fixed, and you really need this $5,000. Okay, fine, I'll take it. So I just took the $5,000. And the thing is, I wasn't even talking about suing the guy for $5,000. I wanted to sue the cop for $1,000. But the city preferred to give me $5,000. Why? It's not in the city's interest. The city attorney didn't want to talk to me at all. I can tell you that. In fact, didn't even show up for the meeting. He sent his subordinates because I had harangued him on his answering machine so much. Telling him what a terrible job he was doing. And he wouldn't call me back until I said, I just noticed here on the Pomona schedule that you have a city budgetary meeting this upcoming Thursday. I will be there to explain to all the people on the budgetary committee how they are wasting their money on a completely unprofessional, inadequate, and incompetent city attorney. Then I got a call back. When I said I was going to go to the budgetary committee. Fucking people.
You're my hero.
Did I stalk someone? No, I didn't stalk anyone. I'm talking about when the city of Pomona paid me $5,000 because the cop violated my rights. He hit me basically, but I didn't get hurt at all. He just pushed me with the butt of his gun. But he did it to shut me up because I was telling the cops to stop tasing the guy. So he violated my First Amendment rights. And I went in there and explained all this to the city. And in fact, I didn't understand what this meeting was exactly when I went in there. But it turns out the person interviewing me was the guy who got tased a whole bunch. His lawyer's private investigator was interviewing me because the guy the crazy homeless guy who just exposed the total lack of professionalism of Pomona's law enforcement community. I mean, it's just like, okay, what I said, I don't know if you guys have seen the video. There's a video of all this if you want to see it, of the cops and the tasing, all that stuff, right? It's like the first thing I said when I got there is, because there's fire trucks there, there's helicopters shining lights on shit, there's like dozens and dozens of cops. There's like just like mobs of them. Why? There's this one dude who's standing in somebody's front lawn. It's not his own front lawn. Who's got a towel on his head, and I mean like a beach towel, okay? And is apparently holding either a machete or something else that's long and sharp, okay? So naturally, the people in the you should search Pomona, probably Winston's mom. So naturally, the people in the house called the cops. I would have called the cops too if there's this crazy homeless guy with a machete on my porch. But the thing is, they have the fire trucks there. Why? First of all, it's pretty cold out. I said right off the bat, squirt him with the hose. If you just squirt him with a garden hose, he'll be all wet. It's freezing cold, or he'll be freezing cold. It's pretty cold, and he'll give up right away. But of course, that's too simple a solution, right? They gotta have this big standoff for hours. They gotta have, helicopter. Why do they have fire trucks there? They needed the paramedics once they, executed their little street justice. But the most gratifying thing about that meeting with Pomona was when I realized that it was the guy who got tased, lawyer's investigator. He was so happy because I am the absolutely perfect deposition. I am the perfect person to depose. I don't make any claims I can't sustain. And I answer everything as a perfect witness would, which is say, well, what do you think about this? I didn't see that. At the time, my view was blocked by a no. In other words, they don't want you embellishing anything. And most people tend to embellish a little bit because they're trying to make those other people happy or something. But the investigator also asked at one point, said, in your personal opinion, do you think the use of force was appropriate? I said, absolutely not. To me, it's indisputable that at least at some point, what may have begun as a reasonable use of force crossed the line pretty quick into street justice. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever for them to continue tasing that guy who was screaming and writhing on the ground in pain. He was fully disarmed, or whatever you want to call it. And the thing is, you cannot tell me you've got dozens of burly cops around that you can't simply get a couple of them once he's dropped the thing to just tackle him or grab him, handcuff him. Instead, first they shoot him with a bunch of beanbags, and then they tase the fuck out of him, and they kill someone's dog. Well, I don't know if the cops killed the dog or not. Somebody killed a dog. I think it was either the cops hit it with a car or I don't know. But
God, what a mess.
It was a disaster, Well, I mean, the thing is, USA doesn't need really a justice system overhaul. They just need at least one of me in every crowd. Because you know what? That tasing ended shortly after I started saying, stop tasing him. The guy right next to me then immediately started picking up with me because he was standing there very uncomfortable about it too, but sort of waiting for permission to speak, I guess. Once the guy pushed me off of the curb, then I turned my attention to the cop. I said, why did you just assault me? Or something like that. And, but at that point, I think, a lot of people were starting to say, stop tasing him and shit, because once it starts, then everybody who thinks that feels comfortable saying it,
Yeah.
And so I think it did successfully bring it to a halt sooner than it might otherwise have. But I got distracted at the end because once I got pushed off the curb, I wasn't paying attention to the guy getting tased anymore. I was paying attention to the fact that this cop had just come up to me. Because like at first, when I'm standing there, I'm looking at the thing, I see somebody getting close to me. I just think like, why is this guy, stay in your own space, buddy. Like, don't get all up on me. And then all of a sudden I'm like pushed back and I look and, oh my God, it's a cop. So anyway.
Wow. But it is true. If there's one ENTP in every crowd, like something will get said.
Yeah.
Do you think that, well, never mind. I was going to ask if you think that, like, justice is a big deal to ENTPs.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, not every ENTP is healthy, of course, right? But the thing about that is, the moral of this story is all of this clusterfuck had presented everybody involved an opportunity. And that opportunity was to set the precedent that police officers could be individually sued when they violated a citizen's right to free speech. And it's the sort of thing that I needed a very specific, precise kind of bullet to shoot legally at the court to get them to agree with it. And it met all the criteria. And nobody cared but me. They just wanted to make me go away with money. I didn't say law requires a lot of SI. I didn't say anything like that. Do you have any typing sessions scheduled? Yes, I got one. What day did it say? I got one tomorrow. And I haven't checked my email in a couple of days either. So I got one tomorrow, and I want to make, another good video. Rachel and I make another good video, upload it. I'm pleased with the way the dog one came out.
Me
I think it
too.
moves quickly. I think it's easy to watch. I mean, the thing is, I know more about the law than most lawyers. So, lawyers are terrified of me.
Honestly, one of the first conversations Eric and I had was about a law question.
Yeah, it's true. What was that about?
I was wondering if you knew, basically, the rights of a person who, like squatters' rights, I guess.
Oh, right. Well, what I mean by that is, when I used to be the director of Kudos, one of the parents tried to sue us because her kid had, like, the teacher genuinely was a problem. Like, she yanked the kid. And the thing is, it wasn't my school. It was Laura's school. In my school, I would have fired her ass. But in fact, in my school, we had a clear rule. You don't ever touch the students at all for any reason, with the possible exception of if a student wins a tournament and runs up and hugs you, fine. Okay. That does happen. And I'm not going to push the kid away because I'm scared of some bullshit, right? But I'm also going to set a very clear rule in my own school that, as I did, that there's never any reason to put your hands on any of the students at all.
That is so true.
Don't.
That's where any ignoring, I think, comes in a little bit for INFJ. I remember when I was a camp counselor, like, I would try to get the kids, like, to stand in line correctly. I would, like, touch their shoulder, and I afterwards was like, oh shit, I don't know if I should be doing this. It's just out of, like, impulse, like, just be like, you're not listening to me, just get in line. But there's no reason. Like, I always didn't feel great, like, afterwards. I was like, oh crap, they can go back to their parents and be like,
Well, the thing is, it's a lot harder in a day school to deal with behavior than it is in a private after school. So I never had any problems with behavior, because anytime I was unhappy with how a kid was behaving, I'd say, okay, well, you go play outside, because I don't really care if you're not paying attention or whatever, but right now you're actually negatively impacting what I'm trying to do. So go play outside until you're done playing, and then come back in when you feel like it. I don't care. There are enough kids in here who are badass, and I'm teaching to them. And if you care, you're trying to keep up, and then having them teach you after you fail to keep up. If you don't really care and you're just fucking around, well, do it quietly or go outside.
That's a good policy.
Right. It's, you're paying me. You don't want to take advantage of my services. That's fine. I'm not going to try to be your boss or something. That's the thing. Teachers think they're the boss of kids. It's ridiculous. The students should be the boss. They're the ones who have an education to get. They're the ones who know how they learn and what they learn, what they want to learn, what matters to them, and all that kind of shit. Now, that doesn't mean I don't yell at students. Sometimes I have been known to yell at students. I like to say that no weekend's complete until I've yelled at a little girl on Sunday, Chloe. I just cannot stop. I don't know what it is, because she's ISTP, I guess. And I say, okay, so since then.
It's really funny because she is so smart. The stuff that she's learning is not on her. It's high school level.
It's college level.
College level.
It's basically logic 101 from college.
Yeah, and so like, it's funny seeing you get frustrated with her because it's like you know her potential. Like,
well, it's because that's SI too. It's like I'm not really evaluating her against any fair standard except my experience in the moment, which is she's answering too slow. The thing is, SI and NI, and this is the important thing to remember about the distinction. Okay. First, go back to the proto forms of them. Little infants attain certain benchmarks that allow them to be fully human. One of those is object permanence. So until you develop object permanence, when you close your eyes, you think the stuff has disappeared in front of you. It's gone away because you're not seeing it anymore. When you open your eyes, it reappears. Oh my God, that stuff just appeared out of nowhere. Until you learn object permanence, the stuff stays put unless you move it, basically. You can play peekaboo with babies and they'll be delighted because it'll be new to them every time. That's proto-SI. It's understanding your own relationship with what you observe, see, experience in the world. It's making you the center point of the universe, and the stuff and truths and whatever of the world all link back to you and your experience. In contrast, the other kind of proto-knowledge is shape constancy. So there's a time in early childhood where you show a kid this, they might be able to think, they won't be able to talk yet, but like they pretend they could talk, they go, oh, that's a lighter. But you show them like this, they go, I have no idea what that is, because they haven't gotten shape constancy yet. So the thing to remember is shape constancy is about the thing, not the self. And object permanence is about the self, not the thing. When we learn shape constancy, what we really learn is that objects in space have a distinct identity and retain that identity regardless of which perspective we're looking at it from. So NI is all about identity. It's about what makes something holistically one thing and definitively therefore not something else. NI and our understanding of identity should be a good, strong indicator to us that species don't evolve, because species have an identity, a holistic identity. So the song Jingle Bells doesn't evolve because it has an identity. It might get interpreted different ways. Somebody might sing it with more of a swing. Somebody might sing it even with different words. We'd still recognize it as Jingle Bells. So there's a lot of adaptability within a given identity. In other words, a given genome or a species has plasticity. There's adaptability to changes in the circumstances, but it doesn't mean it has the capacity to change identity, right? Because that's the nature of identity. That's the definition of what it is. It's that which can be no further deconstructed without destroying it. Yeah, that's crazy, the Panther. What you're saying is absolutely nuts. New Groove is no... Are agents and subject the same thing? No. When I use the words agent, subject, object, talking about cognitive functions, I mean observer, doer, have shit done to you. But why would you think that, the Panther? I mean, Lijo's not facing any assault here, right? She's not. Nobody's going after her. Nobody's trying to get her. Nobody's talking shit. She generally tries to stay out of controversial topics. Why would she need an alter ego? You know what I'm saying? And this is one of those NI things. It's an NI question. Is what the Panther is saying, does it make sense on an NI level? No. But the Panther is saying that the Panther has previously interpreted some identity as being really a fake identity, but actually Lijo. And so that's an SI explanation for why she's likely has a fake identity here. We don't know if he ever validated the first conclusion in the first place. Probably not. That sort of stuff is pretty difficult to falsify or validate. So, you think he's just trolling? Well, I think, I mean, I don't know exactly who the Panther is, but I will say this. The Panther deserves and gets credit for the following. The Panther is the source of the notion that I challenged C.H. Joseph to a boxing match, which I think is a great idea. And I really hope he says yes. I don't know why he wouldn't, unless he just wants to be spiteful, maybe. Can he really type a newborn baby as an INTJ? Talk about, like...
Maybe it was the way it came out of the mother.
Yeah.
It came out with a pensive look on its face.
It came out with a look of disgusted contempt at the performance of the doctor. Come on, this. I left a comment on his newborn typing saying, "This is insane," and he assumed it was a compliment. Wow, it's insane. I can't believe you can type your newborn. Yep. In fact, come here, pregnant lady, get over here.
Pregnant lady.
How pregnant are you? 2 months? 2 months pregnant. Okay, 8 weeks. Okay. Let me just ask her a quick question. ISTJ. Oh my God, you can type 2-month-old fetuses? Yep, you just saw me do it. Must be so.
I take pride in the fact that, like, on C.S. Joseph's site, I'm typed as one of his famous people. Wrongly typed, but my name is there if you Google me.
She's hypersensitive is why. There's a Reddit article that covers this. People on PDB typed Lijo as an ENTJ, and she got offended. There's a Reddit article that covers this in detail. So, I mean, like, you mean that covers her getting offended in detail? Huh. It's pretty hard to get me offended. It's like people say all kinds of stupid shit about me all the time. It's very difficult to get me to pay attention to it. I don't usually want to watch some idiot say bullshit about me.
Wow.
You'll know when you read it. Boba Fett says Panther equals leaf trimmer. That's possible. Yeah, I could use another haircut. Lijo is a fire baron twirling that loves living in the moment. There's a video where she does this. She says she's extra well. She twirls on camera. That does sound very FE polar. I will agree that it's like, have you ever seen that one like bodybuildery INTJ lady, blonde lady who like wears very little clothes and is really weird? I forget what her name is. Queef Timber. Believe in my member. I hope you all believe in my member. You know what my member is, right? It's my manhood. Talk about what it takes to be popular in high school. Well, I have no idea these days what exactly it takes to be popular in high school. Actually, I do. I've worked in plenty of high schools. The same thing it always takes to be popular in any context, really, which is you need to know who you are and carry yourself with a certain amount of entitlement. Entitlement works especially well on other young people when you're young, right? Carrying yourself with a bearing of entitlement will make you entitled. Isn't FE fake or manipulative? Okay, so here's the thing, Ron Alsalon. In my experience, there are two types of people more than any others who view FE as fake and manipulative, and those are INTJs and ISTJs because it's polar. My friend Cameron certainly does view FE as fake and manipulative, but it's not that. It is instead it's being a team player. So, in its worst incarnation, it's like pandering and or being obsequious. In its least agreeable, regular, everyday incarnation, it's the waitress who has too much smiles and too much thank yous and stuff when you don't really want to talk to her. But no, FE is not unauthentic. That's incorrect. FE's being a team player. So, like for example, in my childhood, my mom and my dad would sometimes go to the movies and wouldn't necessarily agree on which movie they wanted to see. My dad would want to see one thing, my mom would want to see another. My mom would try to be a team player. She'd say, well, how about we see your movie this time and then we'll go tomorrow and we'll see my movie. And my dad would say, no, I don't want to see your movie. Why don't you just go see your movie and I'll see my movie? Now, who's being more authentic there? Well, I guess my dad, right? He's being more authentic because he doesn't want to watch her movie. He does want to watch his movie, and he doesn't care whether she's with him or not. That's authentic. But from my perspective as a kid, without knowing anything about cognitive functions, I always thought, essentially, my dad is not being a good team player. He's not being fair to my mom. Obviously, my mom would prefer to watch the movie with him. She doesn't want to watch the movie by herself. It's obvious to me. She's just sitting here watching this fight, or this, not really a fight, but like a back and forth or whatever you want to call it. My authentic feelings in those moments were that my dad was being unfair to my mom. And I didn't like the way my dad was dealing with that. Now, my dad authentically was expressing what he wanted. And you're responsible for wanting what you want. I'm responsible for wanting what I want. You don't get to annex any of my ground. Is it authentic? Yeah. It's also kind of dickish, right? I mean, that's more or less right, Hamza Saeed. TI is negating primarily. FE is mediating. The reason TI is negating primarily is because even if you're affirming something, to affirm something is to say, I'm asking you to make this claim your new status quo. And to affirm something is to take on a burden to affirm, which means you're going to be subjected to questioning, critique, challenge, which you're going to have to answer, and which means mostly negating other people's challenges, questions, critiques. Now, on the positive side of TI, it's not always negationary. So you notice the TI when I say last Tuesday, I mean, actually, it was Wednesday, but you don't notice the TI when I say last Wednesday, and don't correct myself because it's correct. Nevertheless, it's the TI that is underlying it, making it correct. Kyuk had a sad tale to tell. I'll read it to us. I went to see Robin Hood 2013 and was very excited about it. 30 minutes in, I found out the movie was utter shit. But I couldn't leave because my girlfriend was enjoying it. And the movie was 3 hours long. Okay, well, Kyuk, I'm more like my dad than that probably. I would say, okay, I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Then I'd come back in. And I said, I'm going to walk around the mall a bit. You finish watching your movie. Just, no, don't feel rushed at all. Of course, Rachel wouldn't finish watching it. She would get up and come with me.
Yeah, because I would hate.
It's like last night. She was out here watching her show. Every time I come out, she like stops her show. She doesn't want it to bug me. It's like,
yeah,
Rachel, bug me. You have the room. You said I want to watch the rest of this show, and I gave you about half an hour, and then here I am again outside again with you. The fact that I might be bugged is not the problem here, right? It's like when I walk in, you say, "Shh, I'm watching this." That would be a perfectly reasonable thing to have happen. It doesn't go that way ever with us, but I would not be offended at all if it went like that. How do you get stuck in a rut with SI inferior? I mean, for me, getting stuck in a rut is dreading doing everything, whatever it is. Like anything that requires any work-like follow-through, I get dready about it. I just want to sit and consume mostly NI shit, not SI. It's not like when I'm stuck in a rut, I'm not stuck in my memories, stuck rewatching the same video over and over and over again. I'm binging on anime, some new show or whatever.
Yeah, you do go ahead.
How do I deal with failure as an ENTP? I mean, it just goes with the territory. If you're an ENTP, you're trial and error. You could call that fail and succeed. I'm going to fail multiple times for every success. And to the extent that I become more successful, that will always only ever be more true because the bar gets higher. So what qualifies as a success for me musically now is a much higher bar than it used to be. I used to be proud of myself when I finished something. At least it's done. I'd be extra proud of myself if it seemed like a fairly normally structured song. Now, it's not good enough anymore. It's like this guy says in a song that we listened to. I don't know. But the point is, now that I know now that I have a lot of data to look at and listen to, in terms of my own work, and a lot of data I can look at in terms of how other people respond to my work, which things people respond well to and not. I have a much clearer sense of what, basically like succeeding at the top of that is the beginning spot now for success rather than the end spot. So it's an endless chase if you care too much about it. I have a general sense that I get better at things that I care about over time, whether I try to or not, because I'm working at it, I'm working on the thing means I'll get better at working on the thing, even if I'm not trying to get better at working on the thing. It needs to be virtue, sincerity, and vice is insincerity. No, that's not true. So first of all, when you say virtue, I guess we should specify that you mean how people engage as subjects in the world. In other words, ways that people behave that I can observe. I would say my virtues are mostly FE. I expect people to be respectful to other people, but they're also TI as a subject of the world. I expect people to make sense and to answer my questions and stuff. I really don't like it when people try to avoid answering my questions. That really makes me upset. If somebody fucked up, I just want to talk to them and probably I'm confused if somebody fucked up. What's going on here? I just need to ask them questions. They need to answer me directly and honestly, and then probably I don't care. But instead, they think they're gonna weasel out of my questions or get away from me or outsmart me or something, and that's when people end up on my bad side. It's like, look, you said a bunch of meow, and now you won't answer my questions. So that makes you pure evil. And that's one of the reasons why nobody ever made me so angry as Kimberly. Kimberly had a base strategy that she began applying early on in any kind of dispute, just refusing to answer any of my questions. Drove me fucking crazy. Like, how can we possibly accomplish anything if we're not answering each other's questions? That's kind of true, horse mumbler. Kind of true. ENTP's virtue is listening to competent INTPs. And bias is failing to pay them enough heed. Although I think you did misspell competent. You spelled it compotent. Is that how you spell it? Hey, so I think that SE is having a presence rather than being present in the moment. Like this. Okay, so expert sensing is a way of paying attention. Okay? It's a way of paying attention. It correlates with things like follow through, decision making, pulling the trigger, opportunism, and it correlates with wanting to do stuff now. But when you say, hey, so I think that SE is having a presence rather than being present in the moment. And SE Dom likely will have a presence. In other words, they'll draw attention. I would generally agree with that. But it's more so true of ESTPs than ESFPs, I think. Hi, a beautiful Duang. Is that your name for your penis? FI is magic then? FI is just It's just what's important, even though it's not. Right? Like, I have a lot of FI about my dad, but very little FI about my mom. And the reason is because I don't feel as though my mom cares really whether I go there or not to visit her very much. I feel like I'm often in some way or another disappointing my dad, and that bothers me because I want to be a good son, and I want him to feel loved and stuff, but it's like not what I really. It's not like what I want to do in the same sense that, ooh, the new episode of Mia is out. Like, I want to do that, you know? Like, I want to watch. In fact, I will do this as soon as this live stream is over. I want to watch the new episode of. Oh yeah, that's right. So I'm a spider. So what?
Oh yeah, episode sweet. It's almost like
All attentions are for the self, Ron. All ways of paying attention are things the self does for the self. Go ahead.
the things that it's like when your dad generates those ideas and we go along with them, it's very pleasing for him. Like,
Yeah, he seems to really like the
Yeah.
fact that we went to Laughlin.
yeah, he really, yeah. I mean, like, and I think the fact that we're gonna go to 4th of July with him and spend that time. He likes when we take up his ideas on dinner, and like,
You talk about So I'm a Spider, A Beautiful Dwayne. You say it has bad 3D. Okay, well, I'm not sure about that, whether it has bad 3D or not, but I love this show because the main character is so delightful. The parts with the people in them are a little bit more boring, but now that's starting to get interesting too. So, things are starting to really move in that show. I like it. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. So the thing is, what makes a function, quote unquote, subjective or objective, as I've discussed before, and I'll discuss it again because it's important. I'll try to make it quick. Generally speaking, when you're talking about people being objective or subjective, you're talking about whether or not they're using an interested or a disinterested calculus. Now, everybody has interests, everybody has biases, and some people are more capable of putting those biases aside and using a disinterested calculus than others. For just about everybody, if you have absolutely no interest in the thing, no horse in the race, no preference, then you can probably be a fair judge. So let's say you're refereeing a basketball game. If you don't know any of the people playing, don't care about either teams at all, and you know the rules of basketball, and you're just there to blow the whistle on fouls, you will, and you understand your job is to blow the same way both sides, so that if this is a foul on this side, then there's a foul on that side too. You'll probably do a pretty good job of being a disinterested party, using a disinterested calculus, or being, quote unquote, objective about the thing. So the reason FI and TI are not both subjective is because they are both calculi, and only one of them is subjective, an interested calculus, and that's FI. So FI, you know what's most important to you, what you want. Which are the top four most biased types? ENTJ, ENFJ, ENFP, and ESFP. Those four. Most biased types. ENTJ, ENFJ, although they don't seem very biased. They're TI fourth, but they're really quite just arbitrary. And then obviously ESFP has to be in there, and ENFP because they're TI polar. So your SI polars and your TI polars. Those are your most biased types because in the former instance, you might think, well, why is NI tool biased? Isn't that an objective function? Universal? No, it's a knowledge function. It's neither objective nor subjective. It is universalist. But the reason they're the most biased is because they think what they know applies to everybody else too. Whereas SI DOMs just think what they know applies to them. They're not ontologically colonial in the way that NI tool is. ENTJs, ENFJs, they like to tell everybody else how to live. That's where their SI polar makes them very biased. But the TI polar, they're very biased because they try to tell people what to think, but they can't actually think at all. Now, in contrast, ENTPs don't generally try to tell you what to feel. I don't think. ESTPs don't generally try to tell you what to feel. And that's one of the ways in which having FI polar is advantageous in comparison to TI polar. At least the downsides of FI polar aren't public or considerably less public. What type is good in long-term relationships? ENTPs are really good in long-term relationships. We're very mappy. We want to know that once we set this status as girlfriend, boyfriend, that it's not going to change. We don't have to think about it anymore. We don't want to think about the emotional stuff. Why do you say I'm always provoking? I have said that. You're not always provoking, but a lot of times you say provocative things because, well, I think I actually answered that question before, but I'll answer it again. Because, Alan Salon, you're making claims where you should be asking questions, basically. When you say, it should be fair that both FI and TI are subjective functions because they're for the self, you're choosing to demonstrate what you might call a complex compound wrongness rather than ask a question, which could actually teach you something. You're ill-advised to argue here about cognitive functions because in the same fashion that I'm ill-advised to argue with a chemistry professor about chemistry because I just don't have the expertise to argue about it. Here's the thing, Grow Group. It's important to remember this as well. For a lot of types, well, put it this way. It's obviously the case, and I don't mean to compare Lijo and C.S. Joseph at all, but it's obviously the case that C.S. Joseph doesn't really care what type he is, but does care a lot about his little empire that he's building, right? So to find it very important to have exactly the correct answer on your type is indicative of TI and NI. If you see the kind of people I typically type, I rarely get, I mean, FI people are definitely in the minority, right? The reason people have type 2 ENTPs and ISTP, I type a lot of INFJs. I occasionally type ISFPs. I get a fair amount of those too, but I haven't gotten so many lately. But they're NI third. what don't I get very much of? The TE types. I don't get very many ESTJs. I do get some ENTJs, but I think just because they're rare, they're far and few between, and they come to get typed by me because they determined that I'm the one who's correct. And then once I type them, they put that in their "this is what type I am" box and move on to the next thing, and I never hear from them again. So, but ESTJs don't get typed, ESFJs don't get typed, ISTJs don't get typed, ISFJs rarely get typed. Absolutely, I'm serious about it. I would like to box to see how it shows up. I just all these things I said in that video. All you need to do is say yes, set a date with me, and I'll take care of the rest. It would be an interesting discussion, sure. I'd be happy to make a video with Lijo. Per her channel or mine or whatever, I don't care. I've known Lijo for a long time. I mean, not known her, but I've chatted periodically with her for a long time. And for his balls, that's not legal in boxing, Broccoli Todd, okay? If you leave an ENTP alone, will they act immorally? No. Not necessarily. The thing is, when I was a kid, a teenager, I did a lot of kind of questionable stuff, which is to say, I used my narrative making ability for my own purposes, such as I kept skipping this one class a lot, and I went around to various teachers and schmoozed and bullshitted them until I had all of my truants written off on various excuses. And man, the attendance lady was pissed. She did not happy about that, The thing is, it used to be the case when I was a teenager that any authority figure or whatever, I would sort of lie to just reflexively because, well, you have power over me, so you don't deserve my honesty. Was basically the frame of reference. But the longer I lived, and the more experience I had and stuff, the narrower my path became. Because here's the core fear of the ENTP is to be successfully accused of being a hypocrite. So I have to adhere to the principles that I claim are important regardless. And the thing is, ENTPs are very self-critical and very objectively self-critical. So, it's not like, well, this show that Rachel was watching last night, right? So there's this, at the end of the show, spoiler alert, the show is called Love by Judd Apatow. Mm-hmm. And at the end of season 4, spoiler alert, they get married. This dude, the main dude, is kind of like this mousy guy with kind of a hookish nose and glasses, and he's a writer in the show. And then the girl who looks like an INFJ, but is playing not an INFJ character.
I think she's ESFP.
ESFP probably. Who attends Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. Anyway, so they get married, but she actually, at some point previously when they were together, sort of at least, he was out of town, she slept with her ex-boyfriend. And then she said to her friend, well, we weren't really official, me and what's the main guy's name?
Gus.
Me and Gus weren't really official yet. So It's fine or whatever. But she never told Gus about this. And now they're married. So it's like I could never go through life carrying the weight of knowing that. In other words, every time I make a claim, say something, or generally ascribe to any kind of moral truth, I would cringe at the hypocrisy of what I'd done and kept secret against what I'm saying. So as a consequence, no, I'm not immoral in private. I'm the same, whether you're watching or not.
It's true. Very much so. What you see is what you get with that poster.
What you see is what you get. Grogu, are you fondling Lijo's schedule? Do you need to attend another sexual harassment symposium? Hi, welcome to the Sexual Harassment Symposium. Today we're going to learn how to sexually harass people. Step 1, grab their junk randomly. Step 2, if you're going to squeeze a girl's boob, don't forget to say honk honk, otherwise it's not funny. I think you know what I'm saying. I think you do. I think you know what I'm saying. I think you totally do. You know that I'm saying what I'm saying to you. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm stoked. You're stoked. We're all stoked for Ice Stoked. Is someone peeling carrots? Well, I want to write a hit song so good none can deny the need to listen to it in the morning and the night. I'd like to write a hit song that everybody sings and everybody knows the word and buys me diamond rings. But until this point, I've failed to do so. I have no hit song. And if I could only come up with one on the fly, then you'd sing along and I'd be high on the charts. Radio playing my song forever and a day or two. Well, that's yet another failed attempt at making a hit song on the fly. What can I say? It's not easy. It's not easy to write Call Me Maybe off the top of your head. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to write Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake off the top of your head.
Yeah.
You got to put some time and energy into that. It's not easy to write Bop by Hanson. Okay, maybe that one. Bop. It's not easy being green when it's the color of so many ordinary things. Okay, this is a good idea. Fyoko Kyok said the title of the song should be Hash in My Ass and I Ate It. I'll tell you where a title or a lyric can make a big difference. a perfect example is the Beach Bunny, the new Beach Bunny song, a relatively new Beach Bunny song called "Good Girls Don't Get Used." That's really just a compelling lyric that immediately is going to make people go, "Ooh, I want to hear this." So if you hit on exactly the right little expression like that, that's both new, like in other words, it's not just already in the lexicon, and super cool like that, then and super resonant, I guess, sort of universally resonant with something that people sort of all can identify with, I need an INFJ to put me in the groove. I have one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with this song right here. This one is one of the songs probably people like the most. Sammy has a story that need be told, and this is a song for an open road, and such a thing must always do its job. She married up Jeb, turned 19, 4 years in, 3 kids weaned, weary now and questioning the path. Agency out, basic discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency convert is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Doug at 20 thought bourbon fun, likewise Doug at 21, and so forth well up into middle age. Once that seemed to set him free became his whole identity. Now Doug's about another drunken rage. Agency out, based his discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency convert is really just oppression. They'll offer you incentives, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Everybody panic about the kids. Lock them up with extra dexedrine. Mathematics to produce success, or impose more unjust duress. Agency outpaces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency convert is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Without consent, it's really just oppression. But parasites surviving on their wages earned by lying. Well, they feed their fear of dying. Yeah, let's feed upon the futures of the young. Thank you, darling. You're a wonderful lady. Europe has tons of great songs you haven't heard. They played on the radio for decades there. Well, I mean, I'm pretty active in trying to find new music, and I don't limit myself to music in English. So
you have good taste in music, period.
Thank you, darling. I can think of 3 songs that are either 4 songs that are either partially or entirely not in English that are currently on my Chappie Tracks playlist, including Beat Boy by Der Antwerp, and including Soy Yo by some Mexicans, and including Der Commissar by Falco, and including that Mexican song that we have that I forget what it's called. So yeah, there you go. This is actually a very difficult guitar to play, to be perfectly honest, new group. And I'm quite comfortable on it now because I've been playing it for such a long time. I bought this at a yard sale for $120 because it had such good intonation and it sounded good, but it was difficult. C.S. Joseph's INFJ mentor has been doing a series. Who's his mentor? You know that you're a shitty mentor if your mentee C.S. Joseph. You have taught him a bunch of terribly wrong information. Now he's spreading it around like manure on the lawns of everybody's mind. And why are you still called a mentor? Aren't mentors, aren't they supposed to teach? Give people things they need, not disagree or mislead them into wrongness. Aren't mentors supposed to teach? Make you learn that that's a beach and sand is not something for vaginas. But that mentor has created a monster. Somebody who thinks he knows. Imagine a surgeon operating on your brain when really he just has his credentials written on a napkin. He's never learned anything at all, doesn't know the difference between the brain and the nose and the mouth and the beard, but insists he's the world's best brain surgeon anyway. My C.S. Joseph song. 30,000 days, too many expectations, not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off the intoxication, otherwise you won't escape the plan. I wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. Want direction and have all along. Wait until I know. Or is that just hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show is so below my station. I'm tired of doing it wrong. I wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I think I'm doing this wrong. Yes, I think I'm doing this wrong. 'Cause I think I'm doing this wrong. Doing this wrong. No Clapton in me, I'm afraid. I'm not that kind of guitar player. I'm gonna tap tempo something. Tap tempo. So 138 is divided by 2 to 70 about. I'll call it 140. It's fine. We call it 70 or 140. Whatever you wanted to call it would be fine. No. Discard. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of of me out here. Just so that I have a little bit of percussion. Oh yeah, that's right. We're not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna take it anymore. Not this time. Here we go. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you will discover I'm loster than you, and you'll want to know the way to get back at you. Wherever it was you thought you knew. And tomorrow will be just like today. I'll be lost in two. It's a matter of mood as much as a matter of will. And the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, no departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, ba boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, ba boom pop, ba boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, ba boom pop, ba boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, boom pop, ba boom pop, ba boom pop, boom pop, boom. I think you remember the lyrics, right? It goes like this: a boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa boom pa boom pa boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa boom pa boo boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa boom pa boom pa boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa boom pa boo ba boo ba 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 boom boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa boom pa boom pa boom pa ba 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 boom pa boom pa boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa ba boom pa ba. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. All right, everybody, it's time to do some jazzercises, okay? I want everybody jazzercising right now. Everybody jazzercise all the time. Get in shape as I rhyme. Learn to dance, learn to play. Go outside and stay away. This is how we do the jazzercise. This is how we do the jazzercise. Okay, here we go. Too much noise in the data stream. Loud enough to disrupt everybody's dreams. Frustrations mean mistakes are made. Until it seems everybody's throwing shade. I won't be another casualty of other people's well-intentioned rules. I used to think that tomorrow time for yesterday. It's not the sort of thing that one can borrow. No one willing to lend a day. Your uncertainty's implicit, just like an unexpected visit from a bunch of men all dressed in blue. I won't be another casualty of other people's well-intentioned rules. I used to think that tomorrow there'd be time for yesterday. Thank you. Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
Now let's change the beat around a little bit. Make it a little different. Here we go. That's too slow though. It needs to be a little bit faster. Or slower, one of the two. Let's go faster. Let's try it about. Maybe like that. That's maybe an okay speed for this. But yeah, it might work. Let's see. I don't like where this is though. Okay, here we go. Now we're ready to try it. I don't work with that one. I'll try with a different song. What might it work with? A little bit need to go a little slower still. It's going to be double time. Maybe 110. Even 100. Yeah, like that. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a plot to get to Marjorie's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought they'd be chance enough to return to the work left rough. He'd get back to it eventually, but his visions piled up and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. But now his mind is back on his business, thinking of changing factless to listless, so how all the people will shout his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly now. He won't provide explanation regarding the why or the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Exciting, delighting, Gerald plays his part. But Gerald still knew too much to do, and he had dropped time in the underview. Too much to rebut, so where now and what? Too much time spent picking up skew with you. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get to Marjorie's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what he'll call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald has a thought.
It sounded really good.
Thanks, darling.
You're welcome. I was just wondering if I could take an Adderall.
Sure. Right there next to the toothpicks.
Oh, I was looking for the toothpicks. I see.
Oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you reframing for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough for him. Yeah, you guys both have lots invested. That's not a reason to stay around. Through the years, you've both been tested. Time to move up, find higher ground. Oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you refraining for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough again. Be done with him. My voice is kind of shot, you know. I'm not singing very well, but
Well, you just sung yesterday.
that's true.
Sometimes the voice, like I do find that my vocal cords need a break every once in a while.
I'll add you as a moderator temporarily. You can put your link. Okay. And then I will unmoderate you afterwards. Unmoderating. You're living on a time frame I will never know. Alienation and humanity's soul. Imagine you a future after the collapse, returning to the urgency of isolated past. You're picturing a future, you're picturing community free of metaphysics, hunting buffalo while you're picking bread delicious, knowledge of the seasons and the wisdoms of old, fires blazing in the night to keep away the cold. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land. With an agave weatherman, imagining a history never could have been. You lecture at the college, advancement is a sin, lamenting disconnection in every corporate act, asserting all your feelings and ignoring all the facts. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. You find modernity just so banal. Wish you had been learning any time, but now your experience won't run afoul of expectations you might allow. You visualize nobility sipping on some port, or tribes of peaceful savages in beautiful comport. But few of history's people ever thusly did comfort, 'cause life was solitary, nasty, brutish, poor, and short. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. With an agave weatherman. Thanks.
Your voice sounded good.
Let's see what this link is that special, no special person put. I'm curious. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes.
I'll play one more song and wrap it up. How I replenish HP. I'll have to watch that, but sometime when I'm not going to get copyrighted. Okay, so last song I'm going to play. This is the song I normally end with. Actually, I think I'll play the cover first and then I'll play this song. So 2 more songs. Some folk call me a rambling man, 'cause I do a lot of thumbing and a kicking cans, and it won't do an answer good to call me names. My daddy wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. Proud and white like out a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'm gonna find me a wealthy woman in a line of work that don't take no diploma, cause I ain't got much to lose but lives to gain. You might call me a good time fella, but I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. Proud and white and I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. Wanna get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Small time boy, been around a little. I like guitar and I like the fiddle. That's the kind of soul that fan my flame. Blue-eyed Billy, feared and ready. I got to work just to be somebody. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they give it. I'm proud of why I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. Winston's mom, if you have good YouTube, you won't get an ad. Horse Mumbler is playing incredibly stubborn horse mumbler to not get good YouTube. Like, why not just pay for the YouTube? You can afford the $10 a month.
You know what? The thing is, it's so life-changing when you do
So much
change
better.
it. Yeah, because then you can listen to it like without the screen being on as well. So like you save your battery on your phone because it's just like playing out loud instead of
background. Being able to play in the background is a big one.
Yeah.
Just brooding here won't do any good, but brooding's more and more my style. I seek the cheery ways of standing where we stood, 'cause I've been stuck here a while.
That's despite a natural selfishness that makes it easy to have fun. But flutters in the gut become a fist as all my visions come undone.
I tried to string, distract, and dream the afternoon away, but heavy new realities are breaking every day, and for a bit I am out of it, for reasons still unsaid. Still I need get out of me what's inside my head.
It seems like everybody's so sensitive, so
Ready to just get mad.
I see the silly ways of blah,
Like a
blah,
kid,
blah.
'cause who wants to be the dad?
Wow. Have we lost our sense of scope and scale?
Our capacity to laugh, the sense to know when not to wail, and how to tip the golden calf. I tried to string, distract, and dream the afternoon away. Heavy new realities are breaking every day, and for a bit I am out of it, for reasons still unsaid. But still I need get out of me what's inside my head. Still I'm sad,
So sad for me,
sad for her unhappily, and what you call sorrow I call home. Blues that sing clear down
to the bone.
down to the bone.
Still I'm sad,
So sad,
so sad for me,
sad for me,
sad for her,
sad for her,
unhappily,
unhappily.
what you call call sorrow.
I call home.
I call home.
Blues that sing clear down to the bone.
Down to the bone. Still I'm sad.
So
Sad for me. Sad for her. Apple on Napoli.
I call home.
I call home.
Blues that sing clear down to the bone.
Eventually, we're gonna practice that and get it really good. We're gonna kill it with it eventually.
My mouth got lazy at some points.
You know,
I
music's hard.
apologize.
Music's really hard. That's the That's the bottom line. Music's
Yeah,
really
but you
hard.
know what? At least we find happiness in it. You know, like we enjoy doing it. It's not like
Yeah, it's nice. It's
Yeah.
fun. El Nino, my ass. You'd call those storms. Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count. I drizzle more when I be in the sink. And it's just the right height to catch all of the undesired splatter. And when I'm done, I'll go outside and climb a ladder. I will go up there and take me a bucket and pour water inside. I'll say, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom? Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom on me.
wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I agree. Well, the first time an hour ago, though everybody said, hey, no, we wouldn't let, she wouldn't stay. She'd already been there too long. Clothes were there, there's an day. She wasn't there, the words in her head. Low leper stone, an hour ago, though everybody said, wait, no, she wouldn't stay, it would be wrong. She'd already been there too long. Florence would have the words they said. She would have the words in her head. Got in the car and she traveled to east. Isn't that a fun rhythm? It's fun. I like it. to be wanted. Now cheer is something that you can do. I can't play it and sing at the same time. I can't get the rhythm, you know. Anyway, whatever. Enough fucking around. Have a pleasant day. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Rachel and I'll try to make another good video soon. Hopefully. And hey, press on C.S. Joseph to accept my challenge to a boxing match.
Yeah.
Tell him, what up, C.S. Joseph? Come on. Like that.
Like that.
Exactly like that. Goodbye.
Bye. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.